Have you thought about this enough to try to think through who could be the winner and who could be the loser long term? And let me sort of give you like an analogy I've been thinking about lately, right? So I've been thinking about the whole cable cord cutting analogy,
Yep.
right? You know what I mean? Like we were when this whole cable cord cutting thing started, we were like, "Oh man, this is going to be great. We're going to, be able to do things over the internet. I'm going to have choice. I'm going to be able to pick Netflix or pick this." And now what we've seen is like these different mega corporations are like taking all their content and starting
Yep.
their own, and then you start adding up the Disney Plus, and then NBC's taking The Office and they're going to launch their own thing, and then everyone got to have Netflix, and then ESPN is now doing one, and when you start adding it all up, plus a
Like a
YouTube
cable
TV.
subscription. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So my, this is one of those scenarios where I feel like early on it feels like the employees win, because they have the ability to live wherever they want, right? But I just wonder about in the long term, does that change earning capacity, right? You know what I mean? So do you start having regions where your earning capacity is very much associated with the cost of living where you live, maybe more so than the amount of value that you provide. It's just a thing I've been thinking about over the last couple of days as I've seen this conversation playing out, and I just wanted to get your take on it.
It's a good thought. I think that could play out. I think something that scares me a little bit more than potentially that notion is if you look at like the guardrails that have been opened up for the Amazons, the Facebooks, the Googles, the Twitters of the world who have, insanely high gross margin businesses, right? So they can afford benefits, they can afford increased compensation structures that are maybe 10, 20, 30, 40% above market. Like the thing that actually worries me a bit more is now that the game's changed for them that they can go anywhere. Do they actually keep their compensation rates relatively flat and pay people the same wherever they are, and really start absorbing a lot of great talent that's traditionally going to earlier stage opportunities or more, earlier stage companies that are on
Ah,
scale trajectories because their ground is now fertile to hunt anywhere versus just in their core area. So I think you could see that play out where some of them do suppress a certain market and only pay based on what the cost of living there, which makes sense maybe. But I think you may also find out, like just based on the imbalance of supply for digitally native talent in itself, that like the demand hasn't contracted just because we're in a pandemic. Like companies still need software engineers, companies still need great designers, product managers, digital marketers, and so on. It's people that are just in business functions that know how to adapt fast in a business in a digital environment. And that talent is so scarce right now, and there's still such a low supply that like whoever's got the biggest pocketbook or the most interesting opportunity, I still think will win them. And so I actually am less concerned about that, more concerned about some of these bigger tech companies absorbing a lot of awesome talent that's currently working on really interesting smaller problems or the next great startup.